Good evening, everyone. Um, Today's Friday, October 27th, 2023. We're going to give you another short update from the war in Israel, right here from the front line, which is pretty much the whole state of Israel. Today has been an intense day. It started slow, but then it became an intense day as far as rockets, drones from Yemen. A lot of people are not aware, but Israel was attacked earlier from Yemen, from the Iranian-backed militia, the Houthis, with drones apparently and cruise missiles, or whether they're like a combination of cruise missiles and drones, or just drones, and they were intercepted successfully by the Israeli Air Force. We've been hearing, me and my wife, for hours, the bombing on Gaza, the massive bombardments on Gaza, and they're justifiable. Every single one of them bombs. So, in order to start this update, I'm going to, with your permission, share the screen and go through the group itself because this is how I post what's going on during the day, or at least the things I find the most important, and then I try and go back there and kind of summarize this eventful day. By the way, my thoughts and prayers are with the victims of the mass shooting that happened in Maine, in the state of Maine in the United States. So it was terrible, and I think it's still a manhunt on the way to catch that criminal who murdered innocent people. And there's some things in life unite us as righteous people, as people who are just and people who just want peace. And wanting peace is wanting to live in peace. And then one day you just go bowling, and then a crazy person, or just a monster, I don't even want to call him crazy. All this, I did this because I was crazy, and I did this because I had nightmares, and I just killed innocent people. That's BS. Because a person had to plan, had to have the intention and the means and the weapons to do what he did, and he massacred innocent people. Families were shattered, just like what happened with Hamas. So back to Nazi Hamas, and in fact, they are worse than the Nazis. A friend of mine who I know said on the radio show just the other day in Israel that comparing Hamas to the Nazis will be offending the Nazis. Some of the Nazi soldiers were just as monstrous, and I don't by no means want to give them any human qualities because they didn't have any. But history teaches us that some of them, when they were massacring Jews and had to throw them in those pits and those mass graves, some of them were just refused to do it, and they were sent to somewhere else, and they were like having some sort of a PTSD and just guilt, whatnot. I don't know. Some of them, and I'm sure there's some of them who didn't agree with it back then, but they had to follow orders. But even they, when they shot Jews, they killed them, they gassed them, they buried them in mass graves. And with Hamas, it's not only killing of the Jews, is making sure that they're not remaining human, even in their death. So the massacre was such as that corpses were brutalized. Corpses were brutalized and abused, and some of them raped way after they were murdered. So to show you the extent of the horrors that this terror organization, and I'm telling you, America, I have a message for you from someone who loves you and loves your values and adore the Constitution. And I think the Constitution is something the whole world should look at of how you run a country. However, America was founded, but by one major idea, which is also in the First Amendment: freedom. To me, when I think about America, the first value, the first main, constitutional right is freedom. And with that comes the freedom of speech to say whatever you want, as long as you don't incite for violence or murder or anything like that. But in the name of freedom, and this Constitution was written for mostly law-abiding citizens, like people that really wanted to be represented by this Constitution. They were given freedom because that's what the people wanted. We the people. So freedom is the First Amendment. The Second Amendment is the right to bear arms, which is a sacred, righteous right. However, it was meant to be given to the righteous people, to the good people, to defend themselves against the bad people. Now, here's when it hits you in the face, and here's how it hits you. Like, it's got a boomerang effect. Let me get rid of this banner, by the way, because we already started. When you have values, strong values such as freedom, and then the right to bear arms, which is the Second Amendment, okay, which is to me a value that you're willing to defend yourself, your home, your property, your family, your belongings at all costs, against tyranny from the government, against the government misusing its power, against intruders, against whatever. But the fact that you have that, you have to understand that this Second Amendment was written for a certain type of people who really wanted that because they knew they were in a good side of history. The founding fathers of the United States of America, in their worst nightmare, did not believe that in the right to freedom, for example, the freedom of speech, you can pollute what used to be the pride of America, educational wise, these Ivy League schools. Everybody from all over the world came there. Some of the best things in the world were invented there. And now you have students of this new generation, the generation of the non-Americans, the generation of those who most cases, if not all, crossed the border to America illegally, ignoring its constitution and laws. Coming in America to enjoy America without giving anything in return or without asking permission. And these people, under many, if not all, democratic governments, were able to very quickly go from illegals to legals. And now they feel like they have a freedom of speech that is going to pollute the American streets with pro-Hamas chants. If you are a pro-Hamas individual, or even if you go outside and say, hey, free Gaza, free Palestine, Israel is doing this. When Israel is fighting Hamas, okay? When Israel is fighting Hamas and people go out there to the streets and go against Israel, it automatically means that they support Hamas. And if they support Hamas, it's equivalent to right after 9/11, 1,000 college students would cheer and chant for Al-Qaeda and Bin Laden. What would happen? What would have happened if right after 9/11, a day after 9/11, you know what, a week after 9/11, foreigners, because these are not Americans, there's some Americans there who are too progressive to even know what Gaza means, where Israel is on the map. They don't even have a clue. They just want to be cool. They're ignorant. But most of these people, if you look at these anti-Israel protests all over the world, These are Arab, Muslim, terrorist supporting, Hamas supporting, and most likely Al Qaeda supporting. And I'll tell you why they're Al Qaeda supporting, because I was in Israel during 9/11, and it was all over the news. That, and I showed it in one of my live videos here. You can go back and see. They were celebrating 9/11. They were handing out the Arabs here, the same ones that go and say free Palestine, so-called Palestine. It was never Palestine. There were never Palestinian people. It's an Arab lie that was invented in the mid-60s. Prior to that, there were simply Arabs and Jews. Anywhere you dig under this holy land, you'll find something Jewish. And if you're a Jew or a Christian, you know damn right that I'm right. You know that I'm right. Anywhere you dig under this holy land, and you can watch videos on YouTube, you'll find something from the time of Jesus, who was a Jew. For them to say, this is not Israel, this is Palestine, the Bible is a fiction, there was never a temple, that's also saying there was never a Jesus. We don't argue that Jesus was a Jew, right? And the Jews were under Roman occupation. There were no Arabs back then. There were no Arabs back then. You know why? Because Islam was not even around during the time of Jesus. What are they talking about? We don't have to go that far back, but forget that. But for these people to go out and threaten Jewish-looking students, what are we, in Nazi Germany? I mean, this is ridiculous. You have Jewish students hiding in the university's attics or in the library, locked inside. And you have a Muslim mob just knocking, smashing the doors. Let us in, let us in. Probably, if allowed, if there were no police in the area, they would commit the same massacre that Hamas did. It's the same thing. Don't you think it's about land? Don't you think it's about territories or money or even hostages? This is strictly a religious duty that they are following, which is to slaughter Jews, not even just to kill Jews. You have to slaughter them. Go to the Quran. I can give you the exact chapters and verses and see. The infidels. You must kill them. You must lie to them. You must deceive them. You must ambush them. You must surprise, exactly what they're doing. And this is terrible. You know, we are a democracy, and we can't even go as a democracy, as people who appreciate freedom. We cannot go too far and really publish to the world what really happened there. I mean, a lot of people would just have nightmares for the rest of their lives for the massacre that happened there. I know you hear stories. I have pictures and videos that if I even dare uploading it to these live videos, then Facebook would ban me forever. And I don't usually use Facebook for politics or anything like that, you know, but hey, we're in a war, and some people really want to know what's going on, and we're going to go over that. But it's really important to know that, going back to America, so freedom of speech already allowing them to support Hamas terrorists. Now they're going to use, when they multiply, when they are in big numbers, segregated in their own neighborhoods and areas that they just adopted to themselves, just like they did in Europe, they're going to take advantage of another constitutional right, which is the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, and they'll try to destroy America from within. because the only way to try to destroy America and succeed will be from within. And the problem is that you have an ongoing invasion through your southern border that it's been for many, many years now, not for just immigrants, but it's a business for some drug cartels. It's the easiest way to America if you're a terrorist. And it's the easiest way to America if you're a spy. Now, thousands are being caught. Think about those who are not. And think about those who are continuing to vote Democrats, knowing that these people who illegally entered the United States not only will never get deported, but they will be able to one day have a weapon and use it too. We all know that there are sleeping cells in America. A lot of them are Hamas cells. And Hamas right now is the second strongest, largest terror organization in the world after Hezbollah and even before the Taliban and ISIS and all of them. Because ISIS and them don't have as many rockets and missiles and all that stuff. So we're going to go through the update of what happened today. I'm going to do it quick. I'd like to keep these lives close to 45 minutes, an hour, just to give you my 2 cents about what's going on and just not just read it to you. So let me see if I can share the screen with you guys. And I'm going to go to the group. And I'm going to go through the things that I posted earlier. So we're going to go here. And I'm going to show you something. So this is after the pro-Gaza protest in Denmark. Okay? Copenhagen, Denmark, which used to be Copenhagen, finished a pro-Palestinian demonstration for today and moved to demonstrate Friday prayer. We are the owners of the house, meaning Denmark now is belonging to them. That is the meaning. Women also suddenly disappeared because they can't have women around them when they pray. Stupid Europeans. They are not establishing effect in front of Israel, meaning these people, these worshippers, they're not just showing their strength in front of Israel, but in front of you, Europe. This is why Dr. who is a Middle Eastern expert, said about read that. We don't want to hear that. And this is what Dr. said earlier about them in Denmark. Now, let me just go here and show you. One second. So let's see what I did here. I want to share it. It's already here. So give me just 1 second here. I'm just going to figure out what I did wrong here. Just 1 second. I wanted to share something very, very interesting with you. So you see Hamas exposing themselves quickly. So I'm going to share the screen. Okay, we're back. So watch this. I'm going to stop talking now, but this is Hamas spokesman speaking to one of the BBC journalists from Beirut, Lebanon, when these people are hiding, and just listen to what this man is saying in English, of course.
It was directed for military purposes, for the military sites.
So hundreds of civilians were killed.
Sorry. And for the military soldiers who imposed sanctions and collective punishment against our people. And I think from the first moment we declared that this operation is not was not directed to the civilians. But I can confirm and assure again and again that there was no command to kill any civilians.
How do you justify killing people as they sleep? You know, families. How do you justify killing hundreds
I
of
want to
people
stop this interview.
in
I want to stop this interview.
Hamas spokesperson Ghazi Hamad talking to our correspondent there. Well, joining me is Ayelet Shaked, a former Interior and Justice Minister in the Israeli government who joined us live from Tel Aviv. Welcome to you. I'm not sure if you heard any of that interview with our BBC correspondent just had with the Hamas spokesperson in Beirut, denying that any civilians were targeted in their assault on Israel nearly 3 weeks ago. What's your response to that?
I heard and I almost physically vomit, actually. You know that those monsters, they had cameras on the helmets of the monsters, and we have videos of all the atrocities that they did. Everything is recorded.
Did you listen to what she said? Yes, when people deny this massacre, when people, like for example, that evil, and she's the mother herself, so I can't understand how you can be so evil. Queen of Jordan, Queen Reina of Jordan, saying, you know, the Israelis telling these stories, but we don't know exactly what happened there. It's just based on their assumptions, on their, you know, but what we need to know, we need to investigate what happened there. And they're not mentally forgetting that these people, these Nazis, these savages, they were using GoPro cameras, and they had body cameras. So they were documenting, and of course they were also calling their parents and friends and commanders in such joy that they were able to kill innocent Israelis in their beds, slaughter them, burn them alive. And everything from these dead terrorist bodies, from the aftermath, everything was recovered by Israel. All the acts. Right now, they're only showing it to some hypocrites in the UN, which, by the way, Israel should remove itself from the UN. It's a hostile place for Israel. It's completely corrupt. The whole world is corrupt and receiving bribe money from Qatar, who's all of a sudden, and they're they made Hamas who Hamas is, by the way. Them and Iran, the main sponsors. They pay so much money to Hamas. They help them with their missile money, with their tunnel money, with everything, because Israel is, and now we know why, it was putting Gaza under Hamas, under siege. They were smuggling weapons nonstop. They're still smuggling weapons through Egypt. But Qatar also bought her way to host the World Cup, if you remember, in soccer. Money, bribing, and all these politicians who are not standing with the truth, and they know the truth. The UN Secretary General, he knows the truth. But because he's a Western, I mean, I'm sure that he's got values, but again, you can't face them when there's so many Arab Muslim countries, and some of them are in charge of some of the oil supply in the world, and this and that. It's a problem. It's a geopolitical problems, but nothing should stand in our way to fight terrorism. So this Hamas spokesman he couldn't deal with this interview because he couldn't answer why they were killing innocent people in their beds. He just took off. He didn't want to deal with it. So this is this former Israeli minister, and listen to her descriptions, please.
Some of your correspondents saw the videos, and I'll just give you an example. They enter a home of a happy family, a father and mother, two little babies, kids. They handcuffed the mother, the father, and the kids. They tortured the mother and the father in front of the kids. They took out their eyes and did horrible things, and then they murdered the whole family. They decapitated children. In one house, they murdered a pregnant woman They split open her belly and they stabbed the baby. They are monsters. They are worse than ISIS, and they should be eliminated.
Did you hear that? That's exactly it. So now, let's see here. We're going to go down. Well, this is something I posted here because I personally know it's a biblical event going on. And if some of you resonate with that, then it's great. But it's not news. So this is what happened earlier. A direct hit by a rocket in Tel Aviv. Some people just get outside and try to video it. So this kid videoed that. This is also the aftermath of what happened. Direct hit in one of these residential apartment buildings. And you can see the whole roof. The whole roof. And afterwards, there was a big fire. This has also happened today. Here's another thing that happened, but that's more what happened in Israel. I want to give you, okay, I want to talk about Mr. Ron DeSantis, the Honorable Ron DeSantis, Florida governor. He actually was able to raise funds, even though he's busy running the most desired state to move into in the United States for many years in a row. Since he took office, everybody wants to move to Florida, an island of sanity in the United States chaos. And he's the governor, and he supports Israel like President Trump on steroids. But he, unlike President Trump, he doesn't have ego issues and narcissism. He's everything that Trump is good about, and he doesn't have all the things that I don't like about President Trump personally. So he arranged for the shipment of drones, weapons, and ammunition to Israel. Okay, so this is private. This is privately funded arms and ammunition. And these things don't cost $2, $5, $6, $10, $20, $100. You're talking about dozens or hundreds of millions of dollars. Almost at least dozens, millions of dollars for all that stuff that we're talking about. So I hope to God, I mean, if this guy becomes the next US president, which he has no chance as long as President Trump's running, but if for whatever reason this gentleman becomes the US president, the United States are up for a treat. He's going to bring this country to its great past. And I'll tell you why, because not only he's not politically correct, he's fighting all the evil political forces who are trying to make free, good old America something that America and Americans don't want to be. And so far, he's been doing it very successfully in the state of Florida. I'll give him that. Okay, this is hard to watch. I'm telling you, I watched it. I get, and I'm going to rewind it, but oh God, it's one phone call, a video chat between this girl and her father before they either die, murdered, and taken to Gaza, or stayed alive and taken to Gaza. She's speaking Hebrew, but I think there are English subtitles of what she was saying, but she was pretty much telling her father how she was just being shot and how they're shooting at them. Let me just play it for you really quick.
תתחברו, תמצאו מקום, תתחברו. אבא, אני אוהבת אותך, אנחנו בתוך הרכב, אי אפשר לצאת. שלחי מיקום. אני בא, מאמי, שלחי מיקום, אלוהים.
Yeah, so I'm guessing they went to the party her and her boyfriend. I'm gonna play it again. Listen to her voice.
לא, לא, איפה את?
Watch these. Hamas, when we say Hamas is ISIS, watch this picture. You have a Jewish woman, you can tell by the ring, it's a woman, raising her hand. Surrender, meaning like, I'm just coming back from a party. And you see these monsters with their weapons and a rocket launcher, an RPG. And they're just slaughtering and shooting and kidnapping everybody that moves. And that guy from Hamas, that Hamas spokesman said, we weren't even targeting civilians. These weren't the commands. Watch this. Listen to her voice.
תתחבאו, תתחבאו, תמצאו מקום, תתחבאו. שלחי מיקום. אני בא מאמי, שלחי מיקום, אלוהים.
So she was, as you can see in that other picture, they were tied up and they were put in the trunk of the car at gunpoint. And at any moment, she thought that she's going to get shot at. So she's screaming at her dad, like, they're killing me, I love you, Dad, I love you. And he's freaking out. He's like saying, what can you do? You're at home. You hear your baby girl, who you know went to a party on a Saturday morning. She went to a party and ended up making that phone call to her dad. And this is just one out of thousands. Thousands of stories. Okay, this is very, very, very sad. When you see that face, I don't know if you can rewind that, but when you see that face, that fear in that face, look at that. You just see fear and desperation. She's saying, he's killing us, Dad. For no reason, he's killing us. Nobody wakes up in the morning ever in your worst nightmare. Look at them. Look at them. We're inside a car, we can't go out. That's crazy. Anyways, and that's true, by the way. When you're hating on Jews, you gotta stick to the facts, okay? You gotta know what the Jewish people, you know, if you have brains, you know what the Jewish people brought to humanity, comparing to their small numbers, microscopic numbers, 15 millions. And out of them, you have that. Now, I'm not here to bash Muslims. I have Muslim friends. It's not about that. I don't agree with what the religion is preaching to do, but I respect people according to their actions individually. I don't judge them by where they come from. However, but when people are protesting pro-Gaza, and some of them are leaders, some of them are U.S. government officials. I mean, the squad, the same squad that is anti-America is, of course, anti-Israel. So you got to know, you got to pick a side, because there are definitely sides. Here, there's another biblical picture, like IDF soldiers with, I don't know who's in the picture, but an angel, a nun. Look at that. That's what I want. It's all from today, okay? 11 hours ago. So all I do is just sit in my phone, both me and my wife, and we try to have a normal life. You can't have a normal life. You can't have a normal life. Let me just see. Yes, so let me go back here. Now, this is what's going on in America right now, on a nutshell, in the American academia. Back in the day, people would be so proud, and that's what they do. Americans are proud to send their kids to college. And Ivy Leagues college, wow, like nobody gets to get into those. And today, homeschool your son and daughter, do an online degree before you send them to these colleges, who are slowly becoming an anti-American bases, pretty much. Strongholds, anti-American, anti-Israel, anti-Semitic strongholds, because There's lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of immigrants, both legal and illegals, who come from countries that are anti-America, and they say it publicly. They'll say it to your face. They say it to the camera. They'll step on US flags in the middle of Times Square, no problem. I'll tell you that in your face. So, Western academia is rotten to the bone. Here's the high priestess of gender studies. Okay, so this is all the same forces, the same people who are trying to get our kids as young as 7, 6 decide if they want to go under surgery to change their sex. So this is their guru right there, this lady, that thing right there. And called the darling of the radical left, Judith Butler, is expected siding with Hamas. Okay? She works in a university, she's a professor, she's a doctor, whatever the heck she is, but she's siding with Hamas and coming out against the genocide, quote unquote, that Israel claims it's committing against the Palestinians. How is it a genocide when Israel is simply defending its people after experiencing the worst of all days in 70 some years since the Holocaust, and retaliating against a terror group that was unprovoked? In fact, we commit a genocide against the Palestinian, but yet provide them with, we stopped right now, thank God, but provided them with water and electricity and internet services and tens of thousands of work permits to come and work and make Israeli money, even though we know that they publicly claim that they want to slaughter each and every one of us, and they don't agree with the right of the Jewish people to have a homeland, period. But yet we give them everything. So when we retaliate against a second Holocaust that happened to us, maybe in way smaller scales, but a Holocaust is a Holocaust. Jews were brutalized in the most horrific of murders because they were Jews and they were civilians. And 220 some of them are still in the tunnels of Hamas. Who knows how many are dead? Who knows how many need medical attention? Who knows how many are, who knows? And now we're talking about we are doing it to the Palestinians? What kind of messed up world are we living in? Israel, if I was to be the prime minister of Israel, I would turn my phone off, take out the SIM card, disengage from any world leader or world media aside from Fox News and aside from the United States of America. I would disengage from anybody. No negotiation, no talking about hostages. Right now, it's eliminating Hamas. After 9/11, the United States invaded Afghanistan, which is about 1,000 times larger, I'm not exaggerating, than Gaza. Invading a whole country, and up until very recently, had military presence there for years, decades, because of one terror attack, which was the most horrible one in US history, and because of one man, Osama bin Laden and his posse. And Israel has the same thing or worse, Nazis. They didn't just take a bus and hit a wall or take a plane and hit, a huge building in Tel Aviv and taking it down. No. They wanted to kill Jews. And I'm telling you, I'm thinking about opening a WhatsApp group, which is uncensored. Like I can stand behind this group's name, which will be closed, by the way, when this war is over. But for now, I'm going to tell you what I see and what I hear from sources, reliable sources. So Israel War Info Uncensored can be really, really uncensored and graphic, but I think it's important for people to know what we go through. Sometimes people need to be exposed to this in order to change the crazy narrative, like this crazy lady right here. So she said Israel is committing genocide against the Palestinian people, when these are the great luminaries of the academy. What wonder that their students later march and shout death to the Jews. Well, they don't shout death to the Jews because of this professor. Let's not compliment her too much. They shout death to the Jews because if you look at like I told you, if you look in the nature of these protests, these are all Muslim, Arab, either so-called refugees or people from Syria, which the United States brought like over 100,000 of them from Syria. And they could have stayed in Syria just fine. Syria is fine now. But no, they had to come to the United States. They had to so-called integrate, and then they send their kids to college. And these kids then shout death to the Jews. Last but not least, let's go back here. I want to stop sharing this. So last but not least, I woke up to news saying that the United States attacked Iranian-backed militias' storage facilities in Syria in retaliation to all what the Iranian-backed militias are doing to U.S. bases by attacking them almost daily for the past 3 weeks. I think it was a little too late and a little too little, because this is not how you intimidate Iran. That is stirring the pot. Iran, Russia, China, it's all, all the parts are lining themselves up on the board, on the chessboard. They're all being organized right now. And you have to pick a side. Either you are with good or you are with evil. And this is what we're dealing with right now, ladies and gentlemen. And they're talking about today on negotiations. I mean, Al Jazeera, which is Qatar's terror-supporting so-called news channel, I don't know how it's still allowed in Israel. By the way, Israel is on a suicide mission on its own, because Israel's got the most progressive, and I'm talking about the most progressive judicial system that literally just siding with the terrorists sometimes over the people of Israel. And for that, maybe after the war, I can give you, I can do a live explaining how. But we're not really a democracy. Like our leader Netanyahu does not really make decisions. The Israeli Supreme Court is who's making the decisions, and most of the time, the Israeli Supreme Court has the same opinions as those leftist Jews in Washington, who are still part of the Obama administration, who will do anything to condemn Israel before they side with it, which is something you would naturally expect from them by being Jews, like myself. But I'm telling you, it's not even about that. So they're talking about ceasefire for the hostages, or talking about the hostages. And listen, guys, when you're in a war, when you declared a war on a terror organization and vowed to destroy it and to eliminate it and wipe it off the face of the map, you gotta go and do it. And you don't talk and do war at the same time. You do talks after the war, or you rescue the hostages during the war. But I'm telling you, the chance to rescue all the hostages alive and well are slim to none, unless they do a deal. But they shouldn't be doing a deal no matter what, because you can't fight Hamas and talk to Hamas at the same time. You're going to lose the word legitimacy that you have right now to do what you're supposed to do. See, as we speak, there's sirens alert. Let me just check. Make sure it's not in our area. See, we're getting those all day. And explosions outside. It's just crazy. So we shouldn't be. See, every time you hear that, I don't know if you can hear that notification sound. It means sirens. So where was I? Yeah, we shouldn't be talking about the hostages right now. We should fight as if there were no hostages at all. And we should eliminate Hamas, because with all the respect and the sorrow and the love and the understanding and the empathy, you can't, this is the faith of a nation can never come after 200 hostages. This is about our faith. I mean, nobody will ever go back there no Jew will live in the Gaza Strip knowing that Hamas is still behind the wall. Same for Hezbollah in the north. No Israelis. I mean, Israel evacuated 250,000 people. Almost, it's a huge number from its population. People left the north, people left the south. They're all sleeping in gyms and hotels and hospitals and community centers, and I don't know where they're staying. Apartments, families, but a lot of people evacuated, and they said, we're not going back until you solve that problem. So there's a lot of leaks in the media about ceasefire. And what ceasefire? It should be increased fire. The people of Gaza were given the opportunity to evacuate to the south. So to the south, they should march. And the IDF should have flattened that area, conquer it, annex it to Israel, and teach them the next time they do it, they're going to lose more and more land. We should stop giving them electricity. They should take it from the Egyptians. They should have the Qataris build them some underwater, whatever, cable to get electricity and internet or gas. We should disengage completely from Gaza, because their gratitude to us was decapitating our children and burning them alive. I'm telling you, I'm thinking about doing a group where I can freely share what's going on in Gaza and in Israel, the real footages, the real videos from, it's graphic, but once you are exposed to it, you're going to know automatically to side with the good guys. It's a wake-up call, both spiritually and physically. So thank you so much, everyone. This was my update for today. And again, you can feel free to watch it afterwards. If you missed it, it's a little unusual time in the United States right now, but it's late in Israel, and the hours are getting longer and more exhausting as this war going on, because this is all we consume. No matter how much we try to disengage, so you disengage from the TV, you get the sirens on your phone. You disengage from your phone, then you hear the sirens. And in the meanwhile, you hear an explosions outside the window, nonstop. I enjoy those that I know these are the IDF bombing Gaza, because we can hear it. And I'm telling you, Gaza is Hamas, and Hamas equals Gaza. It's not people who took over human shields and innocent civilians. No. These people voted for Hamas, knowing Hamas charter, which is exactly the acts that we saw on October 7th, exactly 3 weeks ago, 20 days ago. And it feels like it was yesterday. It will forever, not only in every Jewish heart, but in any freedom, peace-seeking soul and justice-seeking soul, these sights and stories from Israel will always be with you. You won't be able to forget it. And I just hope that Netanyahu is strong enough to take all this international pressure, because the world, when it comes to Israel, the world does not tolerate Israel defending itself. It has always been like that. I don't draw my hopes from the world. I draw the support from the American people and the American government, regardless which government. I don't like some of the parts of the Democratic Party. Of course, they're very hostile, anti-American, anti-Israel. But in the end of the day, good will always overcome evil. I think that we're still awaiting very, very tough days ahead of us. But I have no doubt that we will come victorious, that God will protect us. And like I said, I will try to give you the best updates I can. You know, I'm not a news channel. I don't have a regular politics podcast. But I just simply like to turn on my camera and tell you what happened, tell you the truth. Okay? If you still watch the TV, watch Fox News, they'll tell you as much truth as they can. But I'm going to tell you what's going on, you know, in your neighborhood as well, whether you're European or you're from the United States, because it's all connected. So thank you for watching. May God bless Israel, and may God bless the United States of America.